The Albanese Labor Government recently imitated Kevin Rudd's summit idea from 2008 and held another talkfest, which they called a Jobs Summit, even though all the announcements and ideas had been decided long before the summit. The National Small Business Think Tank, the MTG, has just concluded its own 4-hour Small Business Job Summit, with senior representatives from construction, engineering, hospitality, farming, fishing, medical, legal and accounting business groups representing 5.3 million working Australians. Many people will remember the MTG from its many accurate warnings and messages to government over the last few years. The MTG called a halt to lockdown on the 6th of April 2020, citing we should follow Taiwan and that a lockdown would cause the nation more problems with domestic violence and suicide.
There's an old Scottish saying, only the dead fish go with the flow. But we should be following the success of Taiwan, yes, with hygiene restrictions and temperature checks and hand washing at the entrance of every establishment without closing down the economy.
On the 16th of April 2020, the MTG objected to the National Cabinet, as there can only ever be one captain of any ship.
Many of the MTG are ex-mariners besides businessmen, and we can tell you that there can only be one captain of a ship.
The MTG on October 2021 showed clearly there were no sea level rises.
With all the noise about rising sea levels, I decided to check some of the mean sea levels of the 47 countries that I have my ferry designs running in. I checked Mulafenui in Samoa, Nabualo, Fiji, Nassau in the Bahamas, Trinidad, Scotland, and here in Brisbane, Australia. Some sea levels were up marginally and some were down marginally, averaging slightly higher by a few millimeters, but almost imperceptible. Was that very small rise from melting glaciers? I don't think so. It was probably from the billions of cubic meters of ocean reclamation. Check for yourself. Governments love to create waterfront land and get extra revenue from it.
The MTG in April this year showed that no power source came close to nuclear, and you should vote for a leader who advocates that.
Let's compare this nation to a ship. If we have to responsibly take it into the future, we have to embrace a steady power source, ideally with minimal emissions. The options again are coal, diesel, hydrogen, LNG, wind, solar or nuclear. My recommendation as an experienced design engineer is for the nation to use nuclear.
Here were some of the key questions raised at the Job Summit. Is small business happy with the ALP being elected?
Well, yes, 17% of the respondents are delighted about this result. These are mainly older business people that have been, seen more than 9 elections and know that the ALP will drive the cost of everything upward and the value of everything downwards. Yeah, so as soon as the ALP is elected, these guys sell all their assets and then buy them back a year or two later at half the price. So, how good's that, eh?
Is small business happy with the ALP energy policy?
Well, no. 96% about extremely unhappy about the, Chris Bowen, especially the total ignorance of the nuclear power situation and the abundance of minerals, uranium and thorium right under our feet. $21 trillion worth of minerals under our feet and we're not allowed to mine. It's ridiculous.
What does small business recommend about worker shortage?
Well, 98% recommend immediate reintroduction of the national service, which integrates the skills training like they do in Israel and in Singapore, and also boosts our defence capabilities. Australia should copy these successes.
Should small business pursue gender and race equality policies?
Well, 100% of the respondents advised that the present policy of small business has been the same since World War II. New staff are chosen not on gender or race or religion or vaxxed or whether they're fat or thin or tall or short, just on merit, and that's the way it should be.
Could the unions integrate successfully with small businesses?
That's a good question. 93% of the respondents indicated they would rather catch the bubonic plague or set fire to their premises than allow unions in the door. Unions are the kiss of death to any small business, and I should know.
As a past black mark in my history, I was a maritime union delegate.
Was there any discussion on the big picture?
Yes, despite Snowy 2 being berated as a waste of money, there was unanimous support of the nation-building projects such as the Bradfield Scheme, the Project Iron Boomerang, with steel and aluminium production on both sides of the nation, which of course needs nuclear power. New ports around the north to boost defence were also supported.
Authorised by Matt Carroll, Senior Vice President, MTG.